لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على النبي الأمي والقاسم
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولقد صدقكم الله وعده إذ تحسونهم بإذنه حتى إذا فشلتم وتنازعتم في الأمر وعصيتم من بعد ما أراكم ما تحبون منكم من يريد الدنيا ومنكم من يريد الآخرة ثم صرفكم عنهم ليبتليكم ولقد عفا عنكم والله ذو فضل على المؤمنين. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Once again, I will have to ask you to come closer, please. Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
We are fortunate that we have the presence of Hujjatul Islam, Allama Hisham al-Jabari among us, and he has been enlightening us for the last few evenings here and before this at the Waliullah. Among his many services, he has published a tafsir of the Quran in Urdu, which is available, and he has also published devotional poetry, and recently he has published a book which is known as Naqosh Express, which is a collection of biographies of 14 Masuni. And here I have one copy of the book, which I would like you to look, and this shows you how big or small the book is. I think it's fairly comprehensive, and it will be beneficial for every family to have this book. Definitely for those who are particularly Urdu speaking. Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
I have just recited a verse from chapter 3, Surah Al Imran. The verse number is 150. Simple translation. And indeed, Allah fulfilled His promise to you when you were killing them, means the kafir, with His permission, until you wavered in your determination and started disputing among yourselves about the affair. And you definitely were wrong until He showed you what you love. And among you are those who love this world. And among you there are others who are looking forward to the life hereafter. And then He turned you away from them so that He may try you. And indeed, He has forgiven you. And Allah is gracious on those who are faithful. That's the simple translation. This is a very compact verse. There are so many things have been put together. It needs a lot of explanation. And this is what I will try to do in the next few minutes. The verses will reveal soon after the Battle of Uhud. What happened in the battle? In the second year of Hijrah, the Kuffar came down to Medina with evil intentions. They were 1,000 in number. The Prophet came out of Medina with 300 of his companions, out of which only 3 had horses, 313 against 1,000. And the enthusiasm was so great, and the Prophet's leadership was so enormous that the Muslims were victorious against 3 times their size, and they were pleased, and Allah was pleased with them. Following year, the Quraysh, Kuffar, who was burning in anger and frustration because of that defeat, came with more armor, more force, 3,000 strong, more preparation, even with their women singing and dancing with them. Among them, Hinda, the wife of Abu Sufyan, mother of Muawiyah, grandmother of Yazid. Why am I giving you all these relationships? Because these things show something to you, how things have developed in the later years. And if you look at the scene of this battle, Mount Uhud, it makes a big C, letter C, English letter C, in the north of the city of Medina. The Prophet, when he heard this attack, this impending attack, he came out of Medina and fortified himself in the back by the Mount Uhud. So he has a mountain on three sides basically, and he's in the middle. And the people from Makkah will approach from the right. This is the situation. And there is another approach on the left, but that's far side from Makkah. But look at the strategy of the Prophet of Islam. He knew that the people from Makkah will come from the right, but he also knew the weak point on the left. And he appointed 60 people. And they were archers. And the Prophet said, if you see anybody coming from that side, you start shooting arrows. And that will keep us fortified from this side. And we know that they are coming from this side and we are prepared for them. And that's exactly what happened. And the Muslims in the beginning were victorious. 1,000 against 3,000. They were victorious. And the kuffar ran. When they ran, the Muslims ran after them. And as they ran, they started dropping hymns, personal property, and the Muslims started collecting the property. Those 60 people who were sitting at the opening of the left flank said among themselves that, look at those people, they're taking everything, and we are sitting here, and we are going to lose out in the end. What does it show? Lack of faith in the organization of the Prophet. If you leave Islam aside, lack of faith in their leader, basically. This is what it shows. Some of them said, no, this is not right. The Prophet has ordered us to sit here and watch the flank. If we leave this place, we will be disobeying the Prophet, and we will leave this flank unprotected. This was the dispute between them, to which Quran is alluding in this. You disputed among yourselves about the affair. This was the affair. So everybody ran for the booty except 10 people and their leader. Their leader said, I'm going to stay here because I am going to follow the instructions of the Prophet. And 10 people followed him. Now, of course, the kuffar were not stupid. They knew the art of battle in the desert. Khalid ibn Walid took one cavalry brigade or cavalry platoon, and he went all the way around Mount Uhud, the big sea, and came from the left flank. And as soon as he saw that the 50 people have run away, he came quickly and killed the 10 with their leader, who were still sitting there, and came to the left flank and attacked Muslims from the back, because they were now chasing the running kuffar. So Khalid came from there behind and started killing them off. In this confusion, everybody who was supposed to be standing with the Prophet of Islam also ran. And one of the famous statements of history has been made here, that Umar ibn Khattab, the senior companion of the Prophet, was heard saying that I was jumping on the Mount Uhud like a wild mountain goat. This is a famous statement which has been recorded by various historians in many books. This was the state of confusion. Utbah ibn Abi Waqqas, brother of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas is the father of Umar Sa'd, who is the leader of the army in Karbala against Imam Hussain. Remember these relationships. Utbah ibn Abi Waqqas picked up a rock and threw it at the Prophet, which hit him in the face, and he lost 2 teeth. And he fell in a ditch in the confusion. There were a few people, Hazrat Ali and a few more people, who were trying to protect the Prophet of Islam, and the kuffar was surrounding him, trying to kill him. See, that was the plan. The Kuffar came with a plan to kill at least one of the three people. Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, who was the commander-in-chief, the Prophet of Islam, and Hazrat Ali, who was the greatest fighter. And one of them was killed, Hamza, in the confusion of the battle. The Prophet was wounded, and Hazrat Ali fell 16 times from his horse. He had 4 wounds in his body, which did not stop bleeding until he returned to Medina. This was the extent of the wound Hazrat Ali had been inflicted in the battle. This was the intensity of the battle. That's why I'm bringing you these details. And the Prophet was calling the Muslims, come back, I am your Prophet, I am Prophet of Islam, I am calling you back to jihad. And they were not listening. You just heard the statement made by one of the senior companions. That's how they ran into the mountains. And at one time, Hazrat Ali was alone with the Prophet of Islam. And the Prophet was very angry. He was frustrated. You can imagine the feelings. And he looked to Hazrat Ali and he said, Ali, why didn't you run away with everybody else? Now, Ali could have said, I love you. I have dedicated my life protecting you. How can I run away? No, he didn't say all that. He said, Iman. So shall I go back to Kufr after having accepted faith? He answered in a question. Now this is an Imam speaking. He is giving you a point of law. He has recorded a point of law. Islam consists of 2 things. Usul Deen, Furu Deen. Anybody who refuses to accept Usul Deen is kafir. However, if somebody has said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, he is a Muslim. He may not pray 5 times a day. He may not pay his zakat. He may not do his hajj. He may not go to jihad or run away from jihad. He is still a Muslim. He is not a kafir. He is a fasiq. He is a bad Muslim. But Muslim he is. And what is Ali saying? If he ran away, he would be accepting kufr after having accepted faith. What is he saying? He is saying that by running away from the battlefield, he will become an infidel. Why? What is the point here? The point is that the Prophet is calling you and you're not coming back and you're not staying. That means you're denying prophethood, which is usul deen. And that is why one will become infidel, kafir, not answering to the call of the Prophet. It is not just a matter of jihad. It's not answering to the call of the Prophet. This is the point of law. So this was the Battle of Uhud. And then Hazrat Ali made the day by killing all the important figures, and the kuffar had to retreat. The Prophet was saved by Hazrat Ali himself, and Hazrat Ali ran to fetch water for the bleeding wound on the Prophet's face. And then Janab Siyada heard of this, and she came all the way from Medina with 15 other women, and she tended to the Prophet of Islam and his wound. There's a long story. I just wanted to bring you this particular fact to you. Now, some historians have said that it was Jibreel who would come to pick Hazrat Ali every time he would fall from his horse and put him back on his horse. And Hazrat Ali would start fighting again. And at the end of this, somebody was heard saying, La fatah illa Ali, la sayyidah Abdul Qaqa. No young man but Ali, and there is no sword but Zulqa'dah. These are recorded reports in various important books of history. And that's why I brought to you these various details. What made Ali so great, so determined, that nothing could defeat him? What made him so great? I want you to explore this thought, not just today, but many times. What made him great? How was he victorious all the time? See, the secret of Ali's success is that he was determined that he has already given his life to Allah. This was the secret of his success. So he didn't care whether he went to battle and was killed or killed somebody else, because he was fighting for Allah. And he was totally committed to this one basic fact. And that is the secret of this short statement here in this verse. إِذْ تَحَزُّونَهُمْ بِإِذْنِهِ, when you were killing him with his permission, Allah's permission. See, there are various occasions when people have gone to battle and killed people. But there is a difference between killing for Allah and killing for your own ego. And the reason Ali had become so successful was that he had already dedicated his life to the cause of Islam and to the will of Allah. And that is why he was victorious. He has made it the life's aim to protect the Prophet of Islam and propagate the message of Islam. And this goes on in his children and their children and their children. Of course, no better example for us after that than Karbala. That Hussein is representing the Prophet of Islam and Abbas is representing us. Abbas has a tremendous imposing personality. And he could have shown himself. He may have had an ego, but nowhere do we find any ego in Abbas's character. He is faithfulness, loyalty personified. He has given up everything. No personal will, nothing, no ego. Everything he will do as Hussein says. As if he and Hussein are one. Where does he get this? Of course, Abbas got the bravery and the soldiery from his father. Where did he get this loyalty and faithfulness? Of course, from his mother. And we have the reports when his mother, Janab al-Baneen, was married to Hazrat Ali, and she came in the house, she looked at Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein and said, I am not your mother, I am your slave, I am your servant. And of course, Abbas grew up in this environment. He learned from his mother the lesson of loyalty and faithfulness, and he always looked up to Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, of which the combination came in Karbala. I am not going to give you any long stories because I've already spoken about Janab Abbas on the 9th of Muharram. I just want to give you one episode in history. When the Qafila, when the caravan of Hussein's family was released from prison and they returned to Medina, there was an announcer in front of this caravan, who was saying, "Qad qutila al-Husayn bi Karbala." Indeed, Hussein has been killed at Karbala. And people were hearing this sound, and they were coming in numbers from every house to this announcer because they were surprised. And in this crowd, there was a lady, a tall lady, wearing a black chadar, holding a little boy by the hand. She approached the announcer. And she held the reins of his horse and said, "What are you saying? How could Hussein be killed? How could Hussein be killed? Did Abbas leave his side? Did Abbas become unfaithful to us? Did Abbas become disloyal?" You understand who this lady was. This was Baneen, the mother of Abbas. And when she heard, the announcer explained, "No, Abbas is lying at the riverbank. He lost both his arms. He fought bravely and gave his life to protect the grandson of the Prophet of Islam." And then Baneen was seen in her many times reciting a Marsiyah of her 4 sons. Do not call me Baneen anymore. Where are those sons? Those were 4 lions that I had raised, and they are now gone. Do not call me Baneen. I have lost those sons. This was Baneen, the mother of Abbas. This was the confidence she had in her sons. May Allah give us the good sense, the courage, and the strength to understand the lessons of Alaykum Assalam.